What's up guys, welcome back to today's another video on this channel. In this video we're continuing with the Six of Crows duology, which includes the first book Six of Crows and the second book Crooked Kingdom. So in the previous video we covered the Six of Crows book, and in this video we're going to be covering the final book in the duology. So originally we covered the Six of Crows, and obviously stay tuned for a recap in this video. If you want to see the full video, it is linked in the description down below. This video is set with timestamps which are also in the description, so you can easily navigate throughout this video. While you're here, it takes a long time to create scripts for these videos and to come up with ways to tell you about the book without spoiling much. So I would really appreciate it if you would go down and subscribe. Alright, so let's jump right into it. Firstly, I want to take a small recap of the previous book, of everything that happened up to this point. If you don't want to, just skip over this part in the timestamps in the description. So previously we looked at Kaz and his team. I'm assuming you know all about them right now. Kaz, Nina, Inej, Jesper, Villain and Matthias. All of them sailed to Fjerda to break into the ice court. They've broken into the ice court, escaped with a scientist whose name is Kuwei, and they have been double-crossed by Councilman Van Eck, who had promised them 30 million krug in return for Kuwei. Now, Councilman Van Eck has kidnapped Inej, and Inej is the one person Kazbreker actually cares about. He's a merciless person, we talked about this in the previous video, and Inej and Jesper are the two people he actually cares about. So he is determined on getting his asset back, because that's how he describes her. So Inej is now in the captivity of Jan Van Eck, and Villain is with Kaz. Now Kaz thought that kidnapping Villain will give him an upper hand, but turns out Jan Van Eck doesn't appreciate his son. He believes that Villain is a soft-minded idiot who is useful for nothing and is not a good heir to Van Eck's empire. So he is ready to kill his own son. So we've left off where Inej has been captured and Kazbreker is distraught. So let's continue the story from right there. First of all, we're going to read the summary at the back of the book so that you understand what happened in the previous book and how it's going to link up to this one. Kazbreker and his crew pulled off a heist. So daring, even they didn't think they'd survive. But instead of divvying up a fat reward, they're fighting for their lives. Nothing new about that. Double-crossed and badly weakened, the crew is low on resources, allies and hopes. As old rivals and new enemies descend on Ketterdam to root out the secrets of Jurdaparum, a dangerous substance capable of altering the very fabric of Grisha magic. Kaz is stunning and his team's fragile loyalties are tested to their limits. A war is waged within the city's dark and twisting streets. A battle for revenge and redemption. It is this that will decide the future of magic and the fate of the world. Book 2 in the Six of Crows duology. So this is the cover. Hopefully you guys can see it. Pretty similar to the previous book. So let's jump into the basic understanding of what is going to happen. Now, Kazbreker knows that Inej has been captured by Van Eck. So he needs to use his massive brain to try and get her back without being harmed. And Van Eck knows that Kaz will do anything to get Inej back. And so he doesn't harm Inej. If he harms Inej and Inej is maimed or wounded, Kaz might not want her back as an asset. So Kaz plays a smart move. First thing he does is go to Jan Van Eck's funds keeper. So there's a person called Cornelius Smeet. That person owns all the financial documents and the will of Van Eck. Kaz breaks into his office using a secret technique, which is a super massive master plan, which is really elaborate and I'm not going to get into in this video. Kaz breaks into Cornelius Smeet's office and gets the will of Van Eck. And once he gets that will, he escapes immediately. Now, Villain Van Eck thinks that Kaz has removed the will, but he's not only done that. He is smarter, and we'll get to that in the spoilers part of this video. If you don't and you want it to remain a mystery, then you can just skip that part. So now they have Van Eck's will. And what they do is Cas Brekker kidnaps Jan Van Eck's pregnant wife, who he says is pregnant with Van Eck's heir. And Van Eck knows this. Nothing he wants more than his heir to be a capable and strong person. He doesn't want his heir dead, that's for sure. So he exchanges Inej for his wife back. And this is a humiliation which makes Van Eck get ready to destroy Cas Brekker along with his reputation. So the first thing he does is go to Pekka Rollins. Now here's a new character for you guys. He was introduced in the previous book as well. If you read it, you would know who he is. If you don't, well, here, let me explain. Pekka Rollins is a person who had betrayed Cas and Geordie. Now Geordie was Cas's elder brother. So here we jump into Cas's backstory. The reason Cas Brekker wears gloves is because he's terrified to take them off. The strongest man, the craziest thief, the merciless and cruel person faints without his gloves. He is nothing without his gloves. The reason for that is when they were drowning, Cas and Geordie. Geordie drowned completely, and his bloated, water-filled, bloated, rotting body was what Cas had to use to survive in the water and float. So he had to hang on to his brother's dead, rotting corpse. And he still has that flesh memory on his hands, and he can do nothing if he's not wearing gloves. He can't touch anything at all. He just freaks out. So that's why Cas Brekker never takes off his gloves. And the reason Cas and Geordie ended up in that ocean, dying, nearly dying, was because of Pekka Rollins. He had betrayed them when he was supposed to be giving them money and fending for them. He had betrayed them. So Pekka Rollins has a massive enmity with Cas Brekker, and Cas Brekker wants to destroy Pekka Rollins, quote, brick by brick. That's what he said in the book, okay? Don't give me that look. I didn't make that up. So Cas Brekker is going to be humiliated by Pekka Rollins, which is what Pekka wants as well, which is what Van Eck wants as well. So they both team up to humiliate Cas Brekker. Now Cas Brekker is extremely smart. He's not dumb. He knows that Pekka Rollins is going to team up with Van Eck. So Cas Brekker plans to attack the sugar silos which are owned by Van Eck. The reason he wants to do this is because he had purchased a massive area which is full of sugar silos for himself. And he told Villain Van Eck to create a chemical substance which is going to destroy the sugar in Van Eck's silos. And once that happens, Van Eck owns about 10% of the entire country's sugar. And once that happens, the prices of sugar will skyrocket, meaning Cas can sell his shares and become a millionaire overnight. So that's what his plan is, but it is foiled by Van Eck and Pekka Rollins working together, because Pekka knows exactly how Cas's mind works. But there's always a but, because no one can know how Cas's mind works. So how does Pekka do that? How does he know? It's not just because of his past. He doesn't even remember Cas's brother's name. He doesn't even know that this is the same kid. He just knows when Cas reminds him in the end of this book. So what makes Cas Brekker so special that no one can guess what he's gonna do? Well, no one actually knows. No one knows how he grew up in the barrel and became the most renowned thief ever. That's the point. No one knows Cas's backstory. No one knows where he came from. All they know is that he hates Pekka Rollins, and Rollins knows that as well. So it's time to jump into the spoilers. If you're liking the book review up till now and you don't want to spoil it, you can skip this part again using the timestamps in the description. But here we go. Spoiler time. So here's what happens in the end of the book. So Jan Van Eck knows that Kuwait is worth millions. So here's what Cas does. Cas puts Kuwait on an auction. People can buy him. Now the Shu from Fjerda have come to buy back their own prisoner. The people from Ravka, another nation, have come to buy Kuwait to create an antidote for the Jurdaparum, because most of the Grisha are found in Ravka. And finally, the people of Kerch have also come to bid on Kuwait. Now, one of the people who has come to bid on Kuwait is Councilman Van Eyck, because he obviously wants that person to create more and more Jurdaparum for him. So here's where Kaz uses his massive brain. What he's done is used Jesper's father, who is introduced earlier on in the story. His name is Combe Fahy. He's created a false fund with Combe Fahy. And Combe Fahy has given that false fund to Jan Van Eyck under the name Redfield, who's a farmer. Only farmers can give that particular type of fund, and Redfield has supposedly given a massive fund to Van Eyck. That's what Van Eyck believes. Now, here's where the tables turn. In the end, it is discovered that 30 million Krug of the council's money has disappeared. The money which Jan Van Eyck was originally supposed to be giving to Kaz. He had said that he was going to be buying some funds from this farmer, and that's what he had told the council. But since this farmer never existed, that money has disappeared. And Kaz Brecker has made it so that everyone around him knows that the secret buyer of the Jurdaparum was actually Van Eyck. Everyone figures it out. And then Van Eyck starts throwing accusations at Kaz, saying that he was the one who wanted to humiliate him and he would stop at nothing. And also, Kaz was accused of kidnapping his wife, which you and me know he did, but no one else in Ketterdam knows that. So Van Eyck says, he kidnapped my wife and my son is also missing, villain Van Eyck. So here's what Kaz brings up the first thing. Kaz says, yeah, you told me that your wife had run away from your home. All I did was retrieve her from the marketplace and I came to give her to you. So the councilman asked Van Eyck, how can he prove that it was Kaz Brecker who kidnapped his wife? He says, ask my wife. Wife says, people were wearing masks and no one ever saw my face and I couldn't see their faces, because my face was also covered with a blindfold and a black bag. Now Jan Van Eyck is startled. He asks Kaz that, didn't my soldiers see you with my wife that day? Yes, they did. You asked me to bring her back from the marketplace, so I brought her. Now Jan Van Eyck says that, of course, he was the one who did it. He left a note. So the council people say, can you present this note? And how does it prove that it was Kaz who kidnapped your wife? He says, no, it wasn't signed by Kaz, but he took one of my tie pins, which Kaz had taken in the previous book, and that's not solid evidence. Anyone could have taken that tie pin. Anyone could have taken that tie pin. Only Van Eyck and Kaz knew that Kaz had that particular tie pin, which he left with the note to prove that it was actually him who left the note. But no one else does that. And then when Van Eyck changes strategies and accuses Kaz of kidnapping his son Villain appears all beaten and bruised up. And that was also planned. He was supposed to appear beaten and bruised up because they had pre-planned his beating. He had been beaten up by two of Van Eyck's soldiers who were not actually his soldiers but actually fakes planted by Kaz. They fake beated him up. Yeah, that's what happened. And he started saying that, please father, don't hurt me anymore. I'll say whatever you want me to say. And all the council people started blaming Van Eyck for being cruel and horrible and merciless towards his son. Now, Van Eyck has nothing to prove. Van Eyck cannot even go to Pekka Rollins for help because Pekka Rollins is a gang boss. He's also from the barrel and he's also an outcast. So no one's going to believe Pekka Rollins. Why would anyone when they have such simple evidence that Van Eyck is lying? Finally, Van Eyck says that Villain can't read, which he can't, but somehow Villain reads. And they start blaming it, saying that Villain Van Eyck can read and Jan Van Eyck has lost his mind. But Jan Van Eyck still has one card to play. He says, this villain is not going to get anything. I have my will at my house and my will at Smith's house. And then he realizes. He just stops mid-sentence going, my house and Smith's house. And he stops. Because he knew that Kaz Brecker broke into both those places. And not just did Kaz take away the existing copies of the will, he also put a forgery in which Jan van Eyck puts down his words with signs saying that he is giving his empire to Willem van Eyck. And here you have it, people. Casbreker has become supreme again, and he is now the leader of all gang bosses and trying to abolish slavery in the barrel. So on that note, thank you so much for watching this video. That is it for the Six of Crows duology. If you enjoyed the book review, make sure you leave a like just to show your support. Maybe you could drop some suggestions down in the comments, or maybe point out a few things I said wrong or missed. It's up to you. Thank you so much for watching this video. Feel free to subscribe, and I'm gonna see you guys next time.